Going round and round.
Okay, it says starting the event as well. Hey there. Well, welcome to the webinar from Career365. I'm very excited to be hosting this on fear, uncertainty, and doubt and how to manage those emotions. I just wanted to contextualize something before we started, and that was that I find that when I'm coaching people who are going through our outplacement program, that often their feelings of fear, uncertainty, and doubt present. And in talking to Jeanine, who I know through business and I have the utmost respect for, I thought, what a perfect person to be able to talk with today. And I think today you'll be finding that it's going to be a particularly stimulating meeting, a stimulating session. So Jeanine and I together, let's just give you a little bit of an explanation. You can see us below, but there's a picture of both Jeanine and I. And who is Jeanine? Jeanine, so welcome, first off.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
A little bit of background for those people participating, and that is I met Jeanine in my offices in Barangaroo, Sydney, and it was a bit of a random, but maybe not so random, you and I. We were meant to meet each other, and as it turns out, I was in a space where Jeanine was sitting. There was a spare seat next to her, and we got to talking and realised that really she and I are very, very kindred spirits when it comes to the stuff we read, the things we're interested in, and so on. And among other things, Jeanine and I got interested in talking about the Silver Mind Control Method book. Ah, look at that, kindred spirits again. Okay, and Jeanine is an accredited. A certified trainer, an accredited trainer on the Silver Mind Control Method, and if I can read it, it is based on the extraordinary 4-day course pioneered by Jose Silva. This life-transforming book shows people to overcome tension, bad habits, emotional insecurity, and even illness with the techniques of mind control. And that's why, among other things, I decided to ask you, Jeanine, on to today's webinar. And we have a lot of mutual philosophies. And so when I meet people, as I said, when I start to coach people, I know that I go through a number of emotions with them just to check in where they're at: sad, mad, glad, scared, shell-shocked, or embarrassed. And Jeanine, it's those things that they often present, those particular emotions. At least they're broad emotions, but there are some emotions that underpin that, and you can see that fear, uncertainty, and doubt count within those. So let's start things by talking about fear and uncertainty and doubt, and what's it all about?
Such a good question, because everybody experiences fear at some point. Some people, not myself, some people have mastered fear, already quite evolved, and I wouldn't put myself in that category. However, what I can say from my own experience, you can absolutely improve your ability to manage doubt and fear in your life. There's no doubt. So I think I start off by saying either your emotions manage you or you manage your emotions. And it starts and ends with our mind. And that's why, referring to the Silver method, it's called mind control. It doesn't mean that anyone's controlling your mind. It means that you're controlling your own mind. And it really comes down to your own ability to manage your thinking. And that sounds so simplistic, because some people say, but you don't understand, Jeanine. I've got these real threats in my life, these real risks going on, these real circumstances that are seriously affecting me, and I can't help it. And the truth is, well, who chooses the thoughts you think? And sometimes we believe that we don't choose the thoughts we think. We think that our thoughts are running us, and that's just a lack of awareness. Once we have the awareness through continuous education and knowledge on how the mind really works, we become better and better at managing our mind. And if I may jump straight to this, Greg, you and I are busy in a mastermind together on the book As a Man Thinketh.
Yes.
And I'll just hold it up by James Allen. This is probably One of the best personal development books ever written of all time, written back in 1903, so over 100 years ago. And almost every personal development book written up to today has got some element of James Allen's As a Man Thinketh in there. And that whole book is so concise. It's an essay. It's actually so short. It's 25 pages. I recommend everyone get a copy. It's free, a PDF online. If you read that book word for word, slowly but surely, you'll understand we are the masters of what goes on in our mind. There is no one else controlling us. It's not as if anyone's holding a gun to our head and saying, you've got to think this and you've got to think that. We can choose our thoughts. So, how do we manage fearful circumstances is really the question. Now we know that we have the ability to manage our thoughts. Many of us still don't do it. I've got coaching clients. I was with one yesterday, another one today, this morning, and they've been talking with me for a long time, over a year, and they still are learning to manage their mind and to manage their thoughts. So it's a lifelong process. I'm not going to promise anyone talking about this for an hour with you is going to solve their problems overnight. However, what I'd like to explain to them when we maybe get a bit further into it is, how does fear show up? Because when we have understanding...
Yeah, it's a good question.
When we have understanding, we can definitely manage our mind.
I think that's actually the case. And I know that in my own life, I have looked at, I've seen, I'm sure the people on the webinar can attest to the similar circumstances that have presented to them, and that is that when any emotion presents and the terminology is fusing with that emotion, then you become one with it, fusing, and it can really control you. And life itself presents with how you look at things. I often say to my kids that it's raining, okay? Rain is just rain. It just is. It's our attitude to rain, whether it's beautiful because it's water in the garden, or damn it, I'm going to have to actually I'm going to get wet today because I'm going out when we could go out. So, okay, during these COVID times. So am I right there?
Absolutely. That you're calling our viewpoint or our attitude is, in psychology terms, perception. And perception is a faculty of the mind. We have 6 intellectual faculties. We have memory, willpower, reason, perception, intuition, and imagination. So perception controls the world you see. The world you see, Greg, and the world I see are 2 different worlds. We could be in the same office at the same table looking at the same picture, and you think you're having the same experience in me, and truly you're not. It depends on your perception. So that's very, very true. And that perception comes from what we call our paradigm. Now, maybe I can put a slide or 2 up that might help illustrate this. Let me just...
So you'll need to, just on a technical level, we're getting used to the technology here. So just making sure, press start presentation there, Jeanine, and we're good.
Yep, it's just asked for my name for some reason.
We'll get there. I'm sure all the people are
there we go
to give us some slack. Can you do that?
Yes, I'm sure they will. Well, I just want to also just mention before we show any slides that fear is without question the most destructive emotion. Fear is the main cause of failure. People actually don't fail because of ability as much as they fail because of their fear. Well, first of all, doubt. Doubt's the thought. There's no emotion now. Just have doubt. It's a thought. That thought immediately triggers a chemical reaction in your body. That's what a feeling is. It means something's changed in your physiology. And the emotion is fear. That's when you know chemicals have changed in your physiology. And then you feel it literally in your body as a feeling of anxiety. You can literally feel fear. And as we have thoughts of doubt, if we don't control our mind and our thoughts control us, what happens is we create momentum. And if you just have a little doubt and you allow it to entertain itself in your head for 10 to 15, 20 seconds, guaranteed another one like joins like. A like-minded thought will connect to that. You'll have 2 thoughts of doubt, and then 3, and then 4. If you let it go for a minute, you've now got an element of momentum. The best example I have is a car at the top of a very steep hill in neutral. If the car's at the top of the hill before it's rolling down, free fall, you could hold that car with your pinky finger and it wouldn't move. But the minute you let go and you let that car gather momentum and it comes down the hill faster and faster and faster, if you're at the bottom of the hill and try and stop that car, you'll never get it. It'll ride right over you. Emotions are the same thing. Fear has to be remembered in that context. It snowballs, and that's what anxiety is. And if we don't control and stem it, anxiety prolonged turns into depression. That's what depression is, and it's very dangerous. So anyone in a fearful situation, maybe you've lost your job, maybe you threatened to lose your job because they're announcing they're going to make redundancies or whatever it may be, or you look at your finances and you find it difficult to, how you're going to cover those expenses. When those thoughts come in your head, we really, really do have a choice to change the self-talk. We can either say this is a disaster, this is terrible, and keep going and create this momentum, and then you're never going to come out of it unless you fall asleep or, get to meditate, which is difficult once you've got momentum. But generally, sleeping is the only way to free your mind to stop thinking, the conscious mind at least. The other thing is, when you get a negative thought, you can have positive self-talk like, everything's going to be okay. I just have to focus on what I can do today. I'm not going to focus on the whole of the next month, the next year, just today. What can I do today? And try and contextualize it into small chunks of activity, ability, resources. Sit down with a pen and paper is the best thing. Write down everything that you want to deal with on a list. Once you've got it out your head like a mind dump, you really feel less stressed. Then you try and see if you can take one step, just one, against each thing that's really bothering you. Make a phone call, find a person to help you, that kind of thing. So when we were talking about perception,
yeah,
I thought it would be good to kind of maybe share a slide like this just to get some context. If you can see the slide.
I can.
So,
I can. And can I just hop in and just say that if we have any questions, what we're going to do is we're going to park the questions towards the end of today's chat, and then we'll pull those up. Okay. Fantastic. Okay.
So this is a stickman diagram. It comes from Dr. Thurman Fleet. It's just an easy way to understand the mind, because we know what the brain is, but the mind, we don't know where the mind is even. Is it in your head? Is it in the whole universe? Is it in your body? Where's the mind? We don't really know. So this just gives you context on the mind. So if you look at the drawing, it's not that I draw terribly, that the head is so much bigger than the body. Can you see the mouse move?
No.
Okay, don't worry about it then. I just thought that you might be able to see my mouse pointing. So the head is so much bigger than the body because really the mind controls every single body activity. You don't lift your hand to pick up a glass without thinking the thought first. Mm-hmm. So the mind is controlled. So let's assume the top of the mind is the conscious mind, and let's assume the bottom of the mind is the subconscious mind. Now on the left there it says spiritual, intellect, and physical. I just want to remind people watching that we are first and foremost spiritual beings, and we are gifted with an intellect, which we can control, is our mind, and we're living in a physical body, in a physical world. I'm just mentioning that because your mind is a very creative power, and if anyone doubts what I'm saying here, if you can remember a time in your life where you really, really wanted something, and you were determined to have it, and you were hopeful and optimistic about it, and excited about the thought of it, you got that thing, whether it was a girlfriend, a bicycle, a new car, a house. If you had that emotion driving you, you most likely, what we term, created that or manifested that. By the same token,
I had all 4 of those, actually. Good examples there, Jeanine.
Your girlfriend, your bicycle, your car, and your house.
But I'm just going to hop in there, because we're not talking religious concepts here. We're talking about a foundational belief that, and many people talk about these things, that we are beings having a human experience. I'm going to go there with you. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. We're not humans seeking out some sort of spiritual experience. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely fair to say.
Okay.
And
So
anything that's not physically tangible, we would call it spiritual for this exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So a thought is a spiritual thing because we can't touch it.
Excellent.
Okay,
It's a good distinction. It's a very good,
So when you're dreaming at night in your sleep, you're having a physical experience. It's very, very real, but you can't touch that dream. And in that time, you think it's real. The minute you wake up, you realize this is real and that was a dream. But when you're in the dream, that's the only thing that's real. So we just need to be aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
So the conscious mind is the thinking mind or the educated mind where we have our intellect, where we form thoughts. We choose everything we want to think in our conscious mind. Our subconscious mind is the emotional mind. So when I say choose, the conscious mind, you can choose, means the conscious mind can accept or reject any idea. If I don't agree with what Greg is saying or anyone, I'll just say, I reject that. I don't agree with that idea. We can choose our thoughts. And if I said, hey, Greg, think of a blue banana, that's a really strange thing. But you can think of a blue banana. You can choose. And you can originate. So why am I mentioning this so long-winded? Because you can choose positive thoughts seriously, and you can choose to have negative thoughts. When Greg was talking about the rain and perception, anything that happens to a person, including losing a job or being potentially threatened to, is just what is. Whether it's good or bad is a perception. It's the way we view it. And we can really help ourselves with anxiety and stress by choosing the thoughts we want in relation to what's happened. So it's a choice to say it's doom and gloom, this is terrible and bad, or to say, you know what, this could be the biggest opportunity for me to actually change direction or to go after something I'm really passionate about. And if I may come with a bit of a maybe out the box discussion here, but most people have heard of the law of attraction. Most people have heard that term. It's truly a marketing term of a universal law called the law of vibration. That is undeniable. The law of vibration is one of the universal laws, the same as the law of gravity. We don't have to believe in gravity to know that if I drop my pen, it's going to fall down.
Mm-hmm.
If someone says, I don't believe in it, well, that's okay. It still works. The law of vibration is the same concept. It means that like attracts like. Everything in this universe is made up of molecules and atoms at the smallest level is energy. It's particles in a state of vibration. So when it says like attracts like, it means what you're holding in your mind, you will attract into your life things that are a vibrational match to it or things that are likened to itself. If we're very grateful, you'll just find good luck kind of follows you to make you more grateful. If you're very angry, you will just find circumstances will come into your path that will make you more angry. So it's really important when we see this diagram and say, well, let's see how we can choose our thoughts, whatever's going on. If we can have a positive mindset about it and choose to be intentional and fight against an automatic mind that goes chronically negative, we can enormously help ourselves. Now, at the bottom there, underneath the subconscious mind, it says it must accept. The subconscious mind does not have the ability to accept or reject any idea. It believes everything you think. It accepts everything it hears. It cannot reject anything. Now, this is very important because every thought you think, you're actually programming yourself because your subconscious mind actually drives your behavior. And when it says cannot distinguish between imagination and reality, this is neuroscience. This is proven. The subconscious mind can't tell the difference between something imagined and something in real life. That's why the highest level Olympic athletes use visualization to see themselves running the 100 meters and going through the white ribbon. And every time they do that, the brain believes it's real. And as you do that repeatedly, you create, through repetition, a new belief. by making many impressions on the subconscious mind of I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning, your body automatically forms that kind of behavior, because remember, the mind controls the little body there below. So when people want to understand what keeps them stuck in life, or why are they maybe not getting the best results they want, or anything that's holding you back, you need to understand that you have a conditioning. It came from when you were a small child, an infant. Between 0 and 7, you never actually had a conscious mind. It didn't exist. You never had the ability to analyze anything or reason between 0 and 7. And everything you heard from your parents, your teachers, your primary caregivers, the news or the media, went into that little baby's mind and basically programmed it with all the beliefs of the outside world. So your subconscious mind is your conditioning today. And I just put there, your self-image is also part of that paradigm. And self-image is very, very important, because it's a major factor in a person being successful or unsuccessful. People with a poor self-image can't achieve more than their own self-image. They can't earn more money than their own self-worth. There's also a number in your mind of what you're worth. So it's good to know. Can you change your self-image? Absolutely yes. Can you change your confidence? Absolutely yes. Your self-worth? Yes. How? The best way and most effective is through visualization. We actually do that in the Silver method. So what determines your results? People can be very educated. They can get a lot of knowledge. All of that is in the top mind, the conscious mind. With all that knowledge, you might find people with several degrees having poor results in their life, poor relationships, not a very good income, just having trouble all the time. And you'd say, but why? The person's got so much education. It's because your education or your knowledge does not determine your results. Your results is determined by your paradigm. So, I don't know. So when we talk about fear, just quickly, let's call our paradigm X. The bottom is X there. Now, we can choose any thought we want. We can choose to think a happy thought or a sad thought. Now, let's say your conditioning is, I'm a regular person and I'm an employee and I'm worth this amount of money and my title is whatever, manager of this thing. That's your paradigm. You now have a conditioning. And this is my life and I go to this job and whatever. So this person and all the other conditioning about what they believe they're good at, what they believe they are competent in, how healthy they believe they are, everything is that X in the bottom there. Now that X drives our behaviors, which are X in the body, and gives our results, which are X, that are on the outside. Now in the top half of the mind, where you can choose any thought, we could really choose anything. We could choose to think anything you want, but we tend to choose thoughts that are in harmony with the conditioning. We tend to choose X thoughts. Why? Because it's comfortable. Mm-hmm. That's called the comfort zone. So if you're in a job as a manager of production and you're earning 70,000 a year, that's your conditioning. You've been doing it for a while. That's what you know and believe you are. If you think about that, you're comfortable. If you do that job every day and you have to go to that job every day, you're comfortable. You're in your comfort zone. Now, there's something there called the terror barrier. This big red line is a terror barrier. On the other side of this terror barrier is what we call freedom. Now, the best way to explain it is probably to move to another slide, like this one. So let's say the person with the X conditioning, production manager earning 70,000 a year, suddenly has an idea that's a Y idea. Now, what's a Y idea? That's any idea that's different to what you're currently doing or currently having. So maybe the idea is I want to start my own business, or actually I don't really like being a production manager. I actually want to get into digital marketing. That's a Y idea. Now, that idea, you're never going to act on it as long as it's in the conscious mind. The only way you'll ever act on it is if it gets impressed into the subconscious mind. And remember, that's through emotion, if you become emotional about it. So let me show you this picture here. If a person thinks this why idea, I want to become digital marketing, I want to have my own business, something different to your conditioning or your current situation. When we become emotional, because we've thought about it so much, and you're now getting a feeling about it, I really want to do this. And the more you think, the more emotions you feel, you impress that why into the subconscious mind. Then you want to take behavior like leave the job or apply for another job or start the business, whatever. The minute you want to act, you see the body there says XY. That means that the body goes into what we call an XY vibration. A vibration is just a term for how you feel. When you say you're feeling happy, you are expressing the vibration you're in. When you're unhappy, you're expressing the vibration you're in. So the minute we have a thought that we impress in the subconscious, become emotional about it, and we're about to act, and the body goes into XY vibration, all hell breaks loose. The first thing that happens, you have thoughts of doubt automatically into your mind, emotions of fear, expressed to the body as anxiety. You're about to act, you hit the terror barrier, and you bounce back into your comfort zone.
Right. And
that's where it is bondage there. Why is it bondage? It is bondage because it's the biggest dream killer. We don't go after the job we really want if we're too afraid to crash the terror barrier. We won't buy the house. We're just about to buy it, and then we have fear and we step back. We're about to buy the car. We step back. We're about to move. We've been dreaming about moving town or moving country. We're about to take the action, emigrate, and we hit the terror barrier. Anything different to where you are today in your current circumstances will be a why idea and give you an element of doubt, fear, and indecision or uncertainty.
So Jeanine, just let's take where we're at here and talk about a lot of the people who are watching this are people who are participants going through our outplacement program. How would we tangibilize this with the situation where change has been imposed on them? Here's an outside idea, the why idea. The why idea is outside the comfort zone, or it's been imposed on them. Let's take our watchers through this.
So if it's been imposed on them, what has happened is they have got a situation different to their current situation or how it's always been, and they've become emotional about it, and they now automatically have triggered fear. Doubt and fear is automatically triggered. It's different. What I may also say, and forgive me if anyone's listening and I have this wrong, but I really doubt that I will have it wrong. People who become redundant or step down or lose their job somehow, at some deep subconscious level, are unhappy with the job they were in. In some deep subconscious level, they were thinking they'd like to do something different, but they haven't taken the action because the thought of doing something different was scary. They hit a terror barrier and they just stayed in their comfort zone. But we can't not attract into our life that our, for the lack of a better, that our soul is seeking, that a part of us wants to grow. Everybody wants to really grow. We're designed as human beings for fuller expression, further expansion by default.
So sorry, Jeanine, but some people are going to really have difficulty understanding this, and there's got to be some sort of assumptions or some model in life that says, okay, what you're talking about is something that they're prepared to buy into. Some people are going to say, no, it's been imposed on them. But let's go down your road. What would you say to that?
If it's been imposed on them, were they I don't know, it's possible that they were very happy in their jobs, or maybe the term is more comfortable. They were comfortable where they were. Life has got many circumstances through one lifetime of adversity. Every single one of them is designed to help us grow. Nothing is to diminish us or crush us or kill us. It's really designed to make us grow. And sometimes if people have been in a role for a long time, they're in a comfort zone. They're not really growing. Circumstances, Les Brown, one one of the top speakers in the world, a motivational speaker, says, when you don't move on in life, life moves on you.
What a great statement.
So what that really means is people who are in a comfort zone for very long will find that that's what happens to them. Life ends up moving on them, but it's not really something at a real deep level. It's very seldom really imposed on them without, at some level, I would believe, they've wanted a change deep down but haven't taken any action. I know a person who was devastated when they were made redundant, devastated. This is a while ago. But after a few months of them going through that fear initially and that terrible stress, finding their feet, going for interviews and getting another job, and they were happy in the new job, they said to me, Jeanine, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mm. And I find that with many of the people who, in hindsight, go through the same thing. Any change is uncomfortable.
Right.
It's how you proceed with that, but it's often in hindsight the value of having moved on or having had that imposed is just that's where the real juice is.
Yes, and it's true in hindsight. Even I'll use another example. I lost my younger brother in 2012. I loved him with all my heart. I couldn't love him anymore. And when he passed on, it was the saddest tragedy that ever happened to me. At the time, if someone said, there's a cloud, every cloud has a silver lining, or there's an opportunity for you that, like as Napoleon Hill says, within every temporary defeat lies the seed of an equivalent advantage. If someone said to me, there's an advantage in the loss of your brother, I would have said, you're crazy, but, that's just nuts. I would reject that idea. In hindsight, this is now 8 years later, it was one of the biggest blessings at the same time, because I was so shocked by his loss so suddenly, and he was 21. I quickly reflected all over the place on everything in my life and said, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? He was here and now he's gone. What if I die tomorrow? Am I living my best life? And that caused me to seek the life of fulfillment that I never had in the job that I was in. And I never had the courage to leave corporate. I was in corporate for 20 years. I never had the courage. I'm honest with you, Greg. I was terrified. My terror barrier was the biggest, thickest concrete, steel reinforced wall. But when my brother passed, I saw life through different eyes, just like that. And I told myself, I'd rather die trying to live my dream life than to get old with regret and be on my deathbed with regret. I should have done it in my 40s. I should have done it in my 50s. So today I work for myself, and I'm so much happier, and really and truly, in every area of my life, I'm better off. And that's an example of in hindsight. So redundancies sometimes are terrible in the moment, but as time goes by and people settle themselves, they will turn back and say, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it's true. The words you said, change is always uncomfortable, is the reason of the image on the screen. The minute we're emotional about something different to where we are, doubt, fear, anxiety is automatic. So maybe we should help the people, I don't know, to talk about a positive side of things.
It's a great idea. Lovely quote. Let's go through that.
So this, change in jobs imposed upon you is not nice, because you feel out of control and you feel that you never had a choice in the matter, which is a very unempowering feeling. However, fear, if we understand how it shows up and we have this understanding, I'm hoping listening to this will just kind of settle the fear slightly, let that mud settle, like that fear settle, and try and empower yourselves with new thoughts about what you can do today for your own future, and try as much to get excited about something that might even scare you to go after, but this is your opportunity to go after it. When do you have a better opportunity than to start on a clean slate?
Can I just share that whilst I've got Career365 as the business, I found that when the COVID-19 pandemic was announced as a pandemic, we started to go into lockdown, and we all experienced this worldwide. I felt fear creeping into me, and I let that actually really impact me on one day. I felt terrible, and the benefit of it was that it actually has helped me identify with the emotions of fear. And I've had plenty of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in my life, as everybody has. But the most recent example I had around that was, in fact, when it was announced. And what I did exactly that without knowing this particular quote. And that was I turned it around and set myself something to do, or some reason or purpose, some shift. And I got empowered, and I haven't treated this as a holiday by any means. I've actually never been more productive in my life. It's been wonderful. So kudos to Bob Proctor. I would actually say that to me, I identify very much with that.
Yes, and I think the way you handled that COVID-19 and the way everything has changed, it's like you didn't change your career, but you took it almost as a clean slate to rethink things. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, very much the case. But it wasn't until I chose to do what's on the screen here that I felt that that I was able to control the fear and then decide on a different direction. So I was doing that. Sorry,
I'm just trying to control the slide on the other side. So just sticking with that quote, for anyone who's going through doubt and fear, I want to say it's normal, and there's nothing wrong with you. Anybody would be. Change is scary. It really is. And it's not a nice place to be. However, how long we sit with that emotion is a choice. We can feel it for a day. If you need to feel it for a week, go ahead. Cry if you need to, do whatever. Then it's a reset. It honestly is a reset opportunity to think about, what do you really want out of life? That's what I thought when my brother passed. What do I really want out of life? And I never asked the question deeply in my whole life as at that time. And I started to look at my values. And I think that's a good place for someone listening to think, what do you value? Do you value family time? Do you value outdoor? Do you value freedom? Do you value money? Do you value whatever it is for you? And try to align what you strive for next as the goal you want to go after, in line with your values, to know that you'll be most fulfilled and satisfied. If you love working with people, that's a very important value. That was what it was for me. I was adamant I got the most fulfillment from helping others become successful. So I became a John Maxwell leadership trainer, coach, speaker, doing this Silver method. I chose that because I value people and I value adding value to people. It gave me the greatest satisfaction. So think about what turns you on, what excites you, and go after what excites you. And if it's scary, like, oh boy, could I really do that? I want you to read that quote 100 times a day. It will scare you. It's normal because it's different to your paradigm. When I thought about leaving corporate and doing something I really loved and was passionate about, it didn't scare me. It terrified me. It was immobilizing. I had to think this for over a year, thinking it over and over all the time. And one day I said, you know what? I have to do this because otherwise I'll regret it for the rest of my life. And I was really scared. But the funny thing is, when you actually take the action step, which I'll move forward here. This is the action step. So if you go one back, I just want to actually go back to this. Just remember, your paradigm is trying to keep you in your comfort zone. It wants you to stay the same. Any change is going to be frightening. It wants you to stay the same. Your paradigm is also cunning and crafty. It'll do anything to stop you from changing. That's why it feels so terrible to have change imposed upon you. So this is an example. The good one to use is, let's say you want to leave your job and start your own business. It will scare you so much to keep you in your comfort zone. It'll be crafty. It will tell you thoughts. I can't do this. I'm incompetent. How am I going to be successful? All those kind of things. So here we go. Let's just revise. We have an X paradigm, current conditioning, where we are. comfort zone. You have a different idea. Yeah, now you're at a place you can choose something different. So choose something you're passionate about, that you love to do. That's a why idea. When you think about doing it, you're going to be scared. You're going to want to bounce off the terror barrier and go back to your comfort zone. Like production manager, go back to production manager. But the person really dreams of being a digital marketer or a coach, whatever it may be. They're going to bounce back until they understand the doubt and the fear is always there. Once you understand, the same feelings come upon you, doubt, fear, and anxiety. But with the understanding, you decide to act anyway. You crash through the terror barrier, and the other side is freedom. When I went and left corporate, the day I resigned, you would have thought I was terrified because I was terrified the whole year before. But the day I resigned, I didn't have any fear. I was the most elated I've felt in decades. I was walking on cloud 9. I felt a sense of freedom, not even knowing how am I going to start this business and run it. I didn't know. There were so many unanswered questions. But the fact that I crashed the terror barrier, I felt that divine freedom. And then, okay, this is a static presentation through the technology, but it was a build. This said XXX before, and it said, does the X go away when you crash the terror barrier? No, the X doesn't go away. It's still there. But as you behave there, think there, live there, repeatedly go there, slowly but surely the Y becomes more dominant and the X fades away and the Y becomes your new comfort zone. It takes a while. It's like public speaking. People are terrified.
And Jeanine, I can talk about that also from, say, from a fitness or a health perspective, and that is that somebody, say, let me just try and draw here a perspective of why idea. Can I actually ever have a trimmer, fitter body, whatever it is? Geez, I'm not sure about that. I'm a bit scared what that's actually going to mean. The more and more I start to program here within this subconscious area, the better I'm going to be able to go through to the freedom side. But these fears would continually come up because I'm yet to make this subconscious area really become my conscious idea of who Greg is. And so until that subconscious works through, then I'm going to be less fit than what my ideal is. But at some particular point in programming this whole area, then the body reacts, and then it's the crash through, a gradual crash through. And every now and again, but what I've learned out of this presentation and our interactions many times, and that is that the most important part is this area here, the subconscious area. You have to be able to program the subconscious so that when fear, uncertainty, and doubt creeps in, it's not going to come from just a conscious mind. It's going to come from the programming of the subconscious mind, which is a belief system, an affirmation system, meditating, visualizing, and so on and so forth. Would that be fair to say?
You are 100% correct. If anyone's taking notes, the key takeout from what Greg said is, you'll never really change yourself or your beliefs or your fears with a conscious mind. The one that you're talking with and thinking with now, your reasoning mind, you'll never. The only way to make yourself change behavior or achieve your dream or change career, go for a big goal, lose weight and keep it off, get fit and healthy, is when you change your conditioning to who the new Greg is. And that's by changing the subconscious, and sub means below, conscious means awareness. You don't know what's in your subconscious mind. That's why it's called subconscious. We're unaware of what our programming really is. The only way you get to know some of your programming is either through a good coach or when you get stuck in life. When you get stuck in life and you really in a place you feel stuck, you're up against something in your paradigm that's blocking you. So let's go forward.
Yep. And I need to clear that.
This is just about stress. To manage stress. Stress harms a worker in many ways. And that's why we need to manage our self-talk. It can affect your decision-making. You can make wrong decisions, and you can think you've got no choices when you're very stressed, which is never true. You always have choices. You can also be impulsive. Immediately take the production manager job again. Immediately jump into the product. it might not be the right thing to do for you. So alleviate stress, take a breather, rethink things, be calm, ask your heart, what is it that you really want to do in life? This life is yours. Make the most of it. I'll just go. These are just some quotes from James Allen. I don't know if you want to go through these. I might just skip this and go to the end. Here, Greg was talking about visualizing. The thing to do is to really program the subconscious mind, and I recommend people do this every day. Doesn't matter what it's about. Every day, whether it's about your health, your marriage, your career, your fitness. If you're out of work, how to get a new job, then let's talk about that. You need to visualize being happy at a job. And even if you don't select the job in your visualizing, I would actually recommend you don't be specific, you be more general. So just see yourself at a job happy. If you like working alone, then see yourself like that. If you like working with people, see yourself like that. If you like interacting with a small team or a large team or a big organization or outdoors or indoors or traveling with work, whatever you really love to do, just see yourself doing it. Forget about the titles. Just see yourself loving, having a great job, and you're well paid, you're getting fulfillment. And when you do that, you're changing your subconscious programming. It's becoming the new Greg. And even though you don't understand, it's not tangible. It's just something you do with your eyes closed. You think, oh, what is that going to really help? That's what people say all the time. How's it going to really help me? This course, this is a book, but it's actually a 4-day course of the Silver Method. The whole course is done in meditation. Why? To calm the mind first, dynamic meditation. And then we use visualization in a meditative state. Every exercise. Why? Because your whole being, your whole life, and all your behaviors and all your decisions and all your habits and all your beliefs come from your subconscious programming.
Jeanine, can I just hop in? We have a question because we're getting towards the end of
Sure.
our allotted time, but we have a question which is, do you have any action steps that the person's asking that they can take to choose the right perspective? It can be hard to focus on the positives.
Thank you, and a very good question. So the answer is yes. It comes back to being calm and visualizing, and the way to do it best is to do it first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. You see, when you've had a whole day of all the thoughts about what's wrong and how you're worrying about things, and I do relate, and it's a real thing. You've gathered a huge amount of momentum. The car's rolled down that hill now, and it's really hard to stop. The best thing is to go to sleep. Just try and chill out and go to sleep. Don't drink alcohol before you go to bed. Really, it's not good for you. It's going to affect your optimism and pessimism. Alcohol affects it negatively. Try not to drink. Try to stay healthy and eat well. Don't take any sleeping pills. Try and sleep naturally. Have a good night's sleep. And try and practice that every day. But when you wake up in the morning, first thing is go and meditate and visualize. So maybe you get up out of bed, go to the bathroom, have a glass of water, and then go straight into, sit down in a comfortable chair somewhere, close your eyes, take about 10 to 20 slow, deep, rhythmic breaths until you feel calm, really calm. Don't activate any thoughts yet. Just try and keep a still mind. It's easy in the morning. Then start to visualize whatever it is that you really want. If the person's asking is out of work, what can they do? Just see yourself, so happy you've got the perfect job and you're enjoying the job. I would really do that. If you've got a whole lot of interviews lined up that scare you, see yourself finishing a successful interview, really shaking the hands of the people and they're saying this is fantastic, well done, or getting a job offer. If you don't get scared by interviews, then see yourself in the future state of having the job, or do both. Visualize the whole story, having the successful interview, being in the job, and really scoring goals and being happy. And do that every day. And if you only do it for 5 minutes a day, I promise you it's more powerful than a whole day of negative thinking. And that may sound unrealistic, but it's the truth. Positive thoughts are hundreds of times more powerful than negative ones. And if you start your day with a positive visualization, and I've got there in big letters, with emotion, affirmations without emotion are really very weak. Visualizing is very powerful. With emotion, it's the most powerful, because the subconscious mind is the emotional mind. When I visualize, I do not let myself get up until I've activated strong emotion of joy, of success, of achievement, of feeling happy with the result that I'm in the movie in my mind, the movie I'm seeing. So I'd say visualize every day with emotion.
I'm going to hop in there because I've often visualized. I mean, I meditate, and I believe very much in what you're talking about, Jeanine. I've had proven experience in my life applying these methods, these approaches, these strategies, and having some really good outcomes. Sometimes very, very quickly. Sometimes they don't come for quite some time. But the interesting thing is that rather than becoming intellectual, when I found that really combined here within my heart, and I could actually feel the excited emotion about something. I don't know how the universe works. I'm going to go there in any case, but it works. There are things that manifest. I'm going to use that term too. Things that appear in my life that I'm thinking, oh my gosh, look at that. That just happened. But when it's out of the head, but it's much more combined with the capital letters, their emotion, it really, it's incredible, which actually leads to that next bullet point about desire, belief, and expectancy. So maybe we can just have a quick talk about how important that is.
Yes, desire is very important. People don't often achieve goals, and sometimes the truth is they didn't really want it, very much. They didn't have a strong enough desire. You'll know if you have a very strong desire throughout your life, as a child, teenager, as an adult, you generally achieve that thing. So when you want a good job, it's sometimes, like let's say you're out of work in this example, you can feel so down and so negative. As I said, give yourself a day or two to really grieve the whole process and be unhappy, but then pick yourself up and decide you're going to give yourself the best shot at the next best thing right for you. So what is it that you want? Clarify what it is that you want. How do you want to work with people? With the picture, what do you want? Then conjure that desire up. You've got to have a very strong burning desire. That helps you in achieving your goal. The next thing is you've got to create a new belief. Why new? Because your current belief is the job you had. It's your paradigm. Beliefs are in the subconscious mind, and so are habits. To create a new belief of the new you in the new job, successful and happy, you have to visualize it with emotion repeatedly. There's a famous quote. What the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Conceive means repeated images in the mind, repeated images on the subconscious mind. So many times it becomes a new belief. What the mind can conceive and believe it will achieve. When you have a belief that you've visualized so often, it starts to become so real, because the subconscious mind, as I said, can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. So real, this is bound to happen. It changes, something changes in you, and that's called expectancy. And by the way, people, that's not expectation. Expectation leads to frustration. Expectation is you want something, and if your reality doesn't meet it, you are frustrated. That's expectation. Expectancy is a faith. This thing will happen. So as an equation,
it's a knowing. It's
a
real
knowing.
knowing.
Correct. If you said desire plus belief plus expectancy, all three together equals faith. Faith is not belief without proof. It's trust without reservation. And if anyone here is a person of faith in a higher power, God or something, what an opportunity to develop your faith in a time of adversity. It's the best time. And if you don't, you're not a person of spiritual faith or religion or anything, have faith in yourself. Have faith in your purpose. Have faith in your goal. And engage in a process. What I mean by that is, if you're really struggling, do not sit idle on the sidelines. Get a coach, join a mastermind. Greg and I are in a mastermind on As a Man Thinketh right now. I do Think and Grow Rich as a mastermind. Do a course, do something. in a process that helps you develop your mind. Mindset is everything.
Absolutely.
By the way,
go on.
We missed gratitude, the first one. For the person who asked the question, how to stay positive, gratitude journaling is an absolute must. Just a page, 1 page a day in a book, write, I'm so happy and grateful for, and you just write the things you're grateful for. I do it at night, so I go to sleep with thoughts of gratitude to marinate in my subconscious. You're welcome to do it any time of the day. I do it at night because they say the way you go to sleep is the way you wake up. Practice gratitude. And for every small, tiny thing that happens, give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. Develop a heart of gratitude. What Greg was saying is when you have your heart in something, it's like magic. It's not magic. It's a universal law. The law of vibration says like attracts like. There's a law of cause and effect. If you have strong feelings of gratitude, you will attract into your life things that make you happy and will make you feel grateful.
Can I just hop in there and just actually just share with the listeners as well? And that is that so I've had a lifelong journey of reading books that are the same types of ones that Jeanine's into as well. So let's call them positive development type books. But one of my mentors in this space is Wayne Dyer, and it was only a couple of days ago that I heard a wonderful talk that he had done a number of years ago. He's passed on since. And it was around this desire, belief, and expectancy in the faith side of things. And that there's a beautiful 5-word mantra that I think can actually support participants going through outplacement and who've lost their jobs, and something's going to yet to materialize, and that is, it is on its way. It is on its way. A desire, a belief, an expectancy. It is on its way. When I heard those words, genuinely, Jeanine, it just changed my vibration. And we all have dreams. We all have things we want to have achieved. And just to know that it is on its way gives me faith and expectancy. It's lifted me up to a point where I felt incredibly happy about something. I looked at something and genuinely, and people might think this is woo-woo, but honestly, the it that I was thinking of materialized within hours.
Yes.
And it's incredible. It's a really powerful process. Some of this stuff might sound woo-woo, but that's why I wanted to have you on this webinar.
And it's not woo-woo. It's all neuroscience, scientifically proven, and in harmony with universal law. It is on its way. You have the ability with your mind to convince yourself that you want is on its way. And if you can do it just by repetition, keep thinking that thought. And the more you do it, you'll slowly create a belief it's on its way, and it will absolutely manifest once that belief is real.
And that's the same thing with people who may be without a job at the moment or without a career direction, but to have a belief that it is on its way is going to be something that we know will support people to know that whatever is coming is going to materialize. It might not happen immediately, but it'll actually happen as long as it is on its way. Jeanine, we've got to round up a few things. I'm just wondering if you could close those slides, because I want to show the people on this webinar a couple of things, and it's still looking a bit blank. We're still playing around with the technical aspects here.
You want me to put your slides on?
No, I just want you to actually clear your presentation. Can you do that at all?
Yes, I pressed stop and I've taken it off.
Okay, and so, all right, I just wanted to actually show this book here. Jeanine is an absolute expert in this course here. She's traveled internationally to train in this. She's also written this book, Living in the Flow, Living with Purpose. I hope you can see that nicely. I'm not sure if you can. And then finally, I'm rewriting this particular book, which is So Your Career Confused, WTF is Next. Participants have got the content within the module packages as well. Jeanine, I think what we'll do is we'll round things off. We're playing a little bit around with the technical side. What I do want to do is, there we are. Okay, it was me. I was the technical nerd here. So here, whoops, there, and there. We're going to leave Jeanine's details in the show notes for this. I want to thank you very much for just some incredible insights. Let me just share with you seriously on dealing with Jeanine for over the last several years. There's not one person that I've ever met really who has her vibration, her love of life, her purpose very clearly articulated. And I love dealing with Jeanine. I'm looking forward to having yet another webinar with you where we can talk about some things more deeply. In the meantime, I want to thank you for being part of this and to wish everybody who's watching this to have faith that things will work out. And
Absolutely.
Okay.
And just Greg, just let people know, I have something called a free intake session. It's a free coaching intake session. If anybody wants it, the first one is free, and it's to either help you on a path and we part ways, we don't do anything, or we do something to help each other. So there's no commitment, no obligation.
Well, I can say, as somebody who wants to, somebody who has gone down this road very deeply, I find in connecting with Jeanine a real source of value. It really is. So thanks so much, Jeanine, for being part of this.
Thank you so much for your words and the opportunity to share this with you and your people.
Thank you. Take care. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.